Welcome back to our daily show on this Thursday morning. You know, the Super Bowl is right around the corner, and a lot of us are getting ready to make our plans for our families to get together, our friends to come together. But one thing that we somewhat take for granted, and we all too much do, is safety and getting home. And each and every time we talk about events, holidays, just like the Super Bowl and celebrations, there's always that statistic on impaired driving and what it does to families and the wrecks and the statistics that are there. Sheila Lockwood is with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, a national ambassador, and joins us now via Zoom. Sheila, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for talking about this very important subject.
Well, and Sheila, before we dive into this conversation as a whole, for our audience, could you give us your story, if you could, just to familiarize yourself with our region?
Absolutely. So I became a MADD National Ambassador last January when they started the Ambassador program. It's 100% volunteer. I became involved with MADD in 2018. My oldest son, Austin, was murdered by a drunk driver on June 10th of 2018. Since that time, obviously, my life was turned upside down. And I realized how important this is and how there's not enough information out, how the laws aren't quite fitting for the crime of drunk driving. It is a preventable crime that it's 100% preventable. And we all need to do our part in order to, end this preventable crime.
100%. And really quick, Sheila, I'm so sorry to hear that happened to you, but really inspirational to know that you're using your son's life to really tell his story and share it with others and help hopefully other families. And you're right, there is zero tolerance as far as we're concerned for drunk driving. You make that choice whether you're impaired from alcohol or any other impairing device. And Sheila, since your time joining the organization as a national ambassador, take me through some of the work that you've been able to do and some of the faces and families that you've been able to meet.
Absolutely. So locally, I have been able to get a law changed in Illinois that it is no longer considered an accident. It is a crash. So all statutory documentation in the state of Illinois now refers to these types of incidents or crashes as a crash. They are not an accident. An accident means that it was an oops. It is preventable, and therefore it should be deemed that way. And it is a crash. In Wisconsin, I was able to help be a part of getting a couple laws put into place. One of them, when my son was murdered, it was said that he should get, the person that took his life should get 10 years probation. There was no minimum for homicide, OWI, and that's what Wisconsin calls it, OWI. And so I was able to help get that law changed, and now it's a minimum of 5 years. So now if you take a life in the state of Wisconsin, you are looking at a minimum of being behind bars, which when Austin was taken from me, I was absolutely devastated that this person might just take my son away from me and walk freely. Another law in Wisconsin was also putting a minimum jail sentence or prison sentence after your 5th or 6th OWI, which is absolutely ridiculous that you get that many in the first place. But now there's 18 months behind bars. And then most importantly, MADD across the nation worked very hard with the Abbas family on the HALT Act. And that we were able to get put in, signed by President Biden, that all new vehicles should have technology on them to stop impaired drivers. And what it is, it's technology that will allow the car to start, but it won't allow it to move. So if it detects that the driver is impaired, the car won't move. So now we're not looking at punishment after the fact, we're looking at preventing, and that is most key in this terrible war we've got against drunk driving.
You know, 100% over. And time after time, you have these weekends where, you know, we promote the celebration of really, you know, alcohol induced times with our friends and family. We do it every major holiday. We're always seeing the wine, the beer, the spirit promotions. And, you know, time after time, there's not really that disclaimer on there where it says call an Uber. There's some type of, you know, smoking kills scenario that's on the back of that drunk drive or the drinking ads. And what I think so important is, and I'm sure Sheila, you know so much more about this, is the fact that if you can prevent one, you're not just preventing one person, you're preventing tens and 20 and hundreds of people from going through the most tragic experience of their lifetime.
Absolutely. And it's not an experience, it's an every single day. So
Imagine.
while that happened one time, I've had to live every single day since that. About 2,500 days without my son.
And
every single day, 37 people are taken away from their loved ones from this preventable crime. And now we've been watching the news about that plane crash in Washington, D.C. That is horrific. But if you think about it, every 2 days, statistically, there's more people taken from drunk drivers that plane crash took. This is something that we should be looking at and putting names and faces to these crashes because it's preventable and it's devastating so many lives. My life will never, ever be the same. Everything that I had thought about for my future was ruined and taken away because my future, it included my son.
right. Well, and Sheila, you know, there's so many families around here locally here in just the Alton, you know, Madison County area that, you know, unfortunately, we have to report on going through so many similar circumstances. And the one that always hits close to all of us is the loss of a little girl at 2 years old that was, you know, walking just, you know, in her yard and an impaired driver murdered her. And, you know, and just like you said, these sentences are way too short. There's not enough accountability. And what you guys are doing to raise awareness and raise these laws and statutes up are so important. But what it's also important are these campaigns that you're doing and finding ways to team up with folks and raise more awareness during these drinking holidays. And I know that we're limited on time, so I wanted to dive into this Take a Minute, Make a Plan campaign because it is so important.
Absolutely. We know that when people are preparing for special events like the Super Bowl, it's a big day. They're thinking about what they're going to wear, what they're going to serve at their home for food and beverages, or where they're going to go, if they're going to tailgate, you know, if they're getting tickets, whatever they're doing. But part of the planning should be, how are you getting there and how are you going to get a safe ride home? And if you're hosting a Super Bowl party, make sure that your guests do not leave impaired. Make sure that you've got designated drivers. You provide them a place to stay if you've got that luxury, or that they just have a safe ride home, Uber, Lyft, whatever it is. Be a good host and make sure that nobody ever leaves your party and doesn't make it home safely.
Well, and on top of that too, Sheila, you know, Uber and Lyft a lot of times give out credits through a lot of these campaigns where you can even get, you know, not maybe a free ride, but a $10 off or 15. That's basically the entire Uber ride for a lot of towns to get back home and get your car the next day. You know, and the thing that always stuck home to me was it's just the fact that people still in this day and age with all this technology and all these apps, why are we taking a chance? I mean, that's what doesn't register to my generation. And for me, it's like, what are we doing here, folks? I mean, why are we putting all these people's lives in risk? And, you know, throughout the year, I know that all of you at Mothers Against Drunk Driving do your part to raise awareness. And if you could, take me through some of the things that we can keep our eyes out for in the next couple of months or throughout the year of what Mothers Against Drunk Driving has plans for in terms of maybe a national effort and anything regional as well.
Okay, well, anytime you want to know anything, go out to MADD.org.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all of the information out there. We've got a helpline if that is needed. We have walks in many, many communities in all the states across the United States. So if you want to participate in a meaningful day out, they're usually in the nicer weather. I know ours in Illinois is around the October timeframe. You can donate. There are different vigils that we have, and we are always talking before different holidays. You will hear us before Christmas, before Thanksgiving, before New Year's. We're talking to you now before the Super Bowl. You know, we've got St. Patrick's Day is also a big day that people, you know, want to go out and celebrate. So, you know, we do try to make our presence known and try to urge people to, if you're going to go celebrate, be safe, get a safe ride home.
Absolutely. And Sheila, before we let you go, is there any final message you have to the St. Louis Metro East region and to the RiverBender.com audience today?
No, just thank you so much for having me. And whatever you do this Sunday as you're celebrating and watching the game, make sure that you get a safe ride home.
Absolutely. Sheila Lockwood, a national ambassador for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You can find out more about the Take a Minute, Make a Plan campaign on the Mothers Against Drunk Driving website. We'll link everything on a write-up on RiverBender.com ahead of time. Sheila, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll take a quick break. More Daily Show comes up right around the corner right after this.